Inside the roaring walls of Madison Square Garden, a tension so electrifying filled the arena that every heartbeat felt like a countdown to chaos. Two men, two storms were about to collide. On one side stood Felix Tito Trinidad, the silent Puerto Rican assassin, returning to the ring with eyes full of purpose and fists full of destiny. Across from him stood the reckless, unpredictable volcano of Nicaragua, Ricardo El Matador Mayorga, a man who fought like he had no fear, no limits, and nothing in his life more important than proving he could break anyone who dared stand in front of him. Mayorga thrived on madness. He insulted, he provoked, he laughed at danger. His cigarette-in-mouth swagger during weigh-ins still echoed in every viewer's mind. This was not just a fight. This was a storm warning. The bell rang, and Mayorga exploded forward like a man possessed, his hands down, chin out, daring Trinidad to strike first. The audience gasped as Mayorga unleashed wild, looping hooks, punches thrown from the pits of rage, each one capable of erasing the night in a heartbeat. Trinidad blocked, studied, calculated. He watched Mayorga like a sniper watches a target, waiting for the moment the wild animal makes a mistake. Mayorga laughed after each missed punch, waving Tito forward. He wanted chaos. He wanted war. He wanted to drag Trinidad into the fire. But Trinidad didn't take the bait. Not yet. He jabbed sharply, piercing Mayorga's guard, testing distance, measuring the rhythm behind the madness. Mayorga, unfazed, kept taunting, screaming across the ring, pressing forward with reckless abandon. Every second felt like a grenade waiting to explode. Each punch Mayorga threw was heavier than the last, but with every wild strike, he left more and more openings. Then suddenly, crack, Trinidad found one. A beautifully timed left hook slammed into Mayorga's jaw, silencing the arena for one chilling second. It wasn't a knockdown, but it was a warning, a message, a shift in control. Mayorga paused just for a heartbeat, his grin flickering. And in that flicker, the crowd sensed it. The commentators sensed it. Even Mayorga sensed it. The storm had changed direction. Mayorga attacked harder, desperate to drown the doubt. But Trinidad was already reading him, already adapting, already sharpening the blade that would eventually cut through the madness. Every step forward by Mayorga became more dangerous. Every punch Trinidad threw carried more authority. The war had only begun, and the explosion was coming. The second round opened like a fuse being lit. Mayorga charged out again, his face twisted in a mixture of fury and arrogance. He threw looping hooks that whistled through the air like angry storms. But this time, Trinidad wasn't merely defending, he was dissecting. Each wild swing allowed him to step in closer, fire straighter, and punish deeper. The crowd felt the momentum shifting, the wind before a hurricane. Mayorga wasn't slowing down. No, he was speeding up, fighting as if chaos were full. But Trinidad was no stranger to storms. He had danced with thunder before. Mayorga tried everything to break Trinidad's focus. Taunts, insults, even sticking his tongue out mid-exchange. But Trinidad's eyes never blinked. He was a sculpture of calm brutality. Every jab cracked like a whip. Every right hand landed with precision. Mayorga swung defiance. Trinidad delivered discipline. And slowly, the wild Nicaraguan's grin began to fade. Still, Mayorga refused to back down. He stepped forward again, chin lifted recklessly, daring Tito to hit him harder. And Tito did, landing a right cross that snapped Mayorga's head back. But Mayorga laughed, hammered his own chest, and screamed, "Come on." His madness was both his armor and his downfall. Trinidad saw it clearly now. Mayorga was all fire, no shield. With each reckless surge, Mayorga walked right into Trinidad's traps. Tito set his feet, fired a three-punch combination. Jab, right hand, left hook, and Mayorga staggered, but refused to fall. The crowd erupted. Something was cracking. Something was breaking. Mayorga tried to answer with a monstrous right hand, thrown from miles away, but Trinidad ducked under it and countered with such cold accuracy that the arena felt it. Mayorga stumbled sideways, arms flailing, but again he forced himself upright. He roared like a wounded animal fighting against fate, but fate was already closing in. Trinidad began tightening the screws, body shots now ripping into Mayorga's ribs, slowing him, draining him. The madness was meeting a wall it couldn't break. Mayorga's movements grew slightly heavier, his reactions slightly slower. Trinidad felt it. He pressed forward, cutting off the ring, breaking Mayorga piece by piece. And then, near the end of the round, Trinidad landed the cleanest right hand of the fight, straight, sharp, devastating. Mayorga froze for a second. The beast had finally felt pain. The crowd sensed it. The commentators sensed it. And Trinidad, knowing the end was drawing closer, stepped forward with the calm of a man who had already seen victory. The real war was about to begin. The third round began with an intensity that made the entire arena rise to its feet. The air felt thicker now, as if the walls themselves understood that something decisive was coming. Mayorga, breathing harder but still burning with reckless fire, stormed forward again. His punches were heavy, desperate, thrown with the rage of a man refusing to surrender to the inevitable. He hurled a wild right that sliced through the air, missing Trinidad by inches. The crowd gasped as Trinidad countered instantly, sharp, fast, merciless. A left hook crushed into Mayorga's cheek, sending sweat spraying under the lights. But the Nicaraguan refused to step back. He fought like a wounded animal, clawing against a corner, swinging for survival, swinging for pride. Trinidad, however, was no longer studying. He was executing. He moved with cold precision, slipping Mayorga's wild shots, punishing the openings with surgical combinations. Each punch echoed like a hammer cracking stone. A jab snapped Mayorga's head, a right hand followed, then a brutal left hook, Tito's signature, crashed into Mayorga's ribs, forcing the breath out of him. For a moment, Mayorga's knees dipped, but he caught himself, roaring defiantly to mask the pain. Yet the truth was clear. The beast was breaking. Mayorga's steps grew heavier, slower. His eyes darted with frustration. He could feel Trinidad's control tightening like a vice. He tried to surge forward again, but this time, Trinidad met him with a punishing four-punch combination that buckled Mayorga's balance. The crowd erupted, sensing the shift. Mayorga stumbled against the ropes, and Trinidad closed in with a predator's calm. He unleashed a barrage. Left hook, right hand, uppercut, each one landing clean, each one peeling away Mayorga's resistance. The referee watched closely, tension heightening with every second. Mayorga was still punching back, but the sting was fading, the accuracy dissolving. His swings became slower, wider, predictable. Trinidad saw everything. He stepped to the side, landed a crushing body shot that folded Mayorga momentarily. The wild man groaned, but again forced himself upright, refusing to fall. The crowd's voices swelled. The fight was reaching a breaking point. Then, in the final seconds of the round, Trinidad unloaded the cleanest combination yet, a vicious right hand followed by a monstrous left hook that twisted Mayorga's head violently. His legs trembled, his eyes clouded. For the first time all night, Mayorga looked human. The bell saved him, but as he staggered back to his corner, hands low, breathing heavy, defiance fading, the entire arena knew. Felix Trinidad had broken something inside Ricardo Mayorga, and the final destruction was. The fourth round began with an eerie tension, the kind that settles just before a building collapses. Mayorga rose from his stool with fire still flickering in his eyes, but the cracks were visible. His legs carried the weight of punishment absorbed. His breaths were rough, uneven. The taunts were gone now, replaced by pure survival instinct. Yet Trinidad didn't advance recklessly. No, he walked forward with the patience of a man who knew the end was already written. Mayorga tried one last surge of madness, swinging a desperate overhand right meant to end everything in a single moment. But Trinidad slipped it effortlessly and countered with a razor-sharp left hook that sent Mayorga stumbling sideways. The arena roared as Trinidad chased him, firing precise, devastating punches. Mayorga tried to fire back, but his arms felt slow, heavy, powerless. Each strike from Trinidad snapped his head, folding his body more and more. Mayorga's legs began to betray him. He staggered, dropped his hands, tried showing his chin in defiance. But this time it wasn't confidence, it was exhaustion. Trinidad stepped in, landing a brutal right hand, followed by a left hook, so powerful that Mayorga's body lurched backward like a ship struck by a wave. His eyes glazed, his feet tangled. He fell, but somehow he forced himself back up, wobbling, disoriented, fueled only by raw pride. The referee asked him to walk forward. Mayorga stumbled. Still, he waved the referee off, insisting to continue. The crowd stood in disbelief as the warrior refused to give in. But Trinidad would not be denied. He closed in again. A clean jab rocked Mayorga's head back. A right hand smashed into his jaw. Then, the final hammer fell. Trinidad unleashed a monstrous left hook, his signature weapon, and it detonated with devastating force. Mayorga collapsed violently to the canvas, his body twisting as the crowd erupted in shock and awe. He tried rising, hands trembling, but his legs refused to support him. The referee reached the count of 10. The fight was over. The beast was conquered. The legend had returned. Trinidad raised his gloves calmly, as if he had simply completed a job he was meant to do. Mayorga, still fighting consciousness, was helped to a stool, the fire in him extinguished at last. It was more than a knockout. It was a statement, a reminder, a warning. Felix Trinidad wasn't just back. He was dangerous. He was deadly. He was